In Module 1, Lesson 5, we're going to discuss division again. And this time we're going to discuss division where we know the total and we know the size of the group, but we're not sure about the number of groups. So last time in Lesson 4, we knew the total and we knew the number of groups, but we were solving for the size of the group. This time we're just flipping that around. And again, I'm telling you, or the problem will tell you how many are in each group, and you will have to figure out how many groups there are. Let's take a look at my counters here, and that will help us understand this a little bit better, I think. So let me share my screen, and you should be able to see that now. So I have 12 things here, 12 counters, and I'm going to divide them into groups of 2. So I've told you the total, and I've told you the size of each group, which is 2. So I start taking 2 at a time and putting them into a group. And just like with the last lesson, this is a really good way to understand this. So for kids or for parents, getting things out and hands-on, moving them around into different size groups can be a really helpful way to make this concept make more sense. So now I've taken my 12 things, I've put them into groups of 2, and now I need to figure out how many groups there are. I can see there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 12 divided by 2 is 6. Let's do one more problem here with the counters, just like that. And then we will go and look at the whiteboard. So this time I'm telling you I have 9 as a total, and I'm going to divide them into groups of 3. So again, I've told you the total, and I've told you how big each group is. And our job now is to figure out how many are in each group. Or I'm sorry, how many groups there are. See, even Mr. Brown gets turned around with the language of division sometimes. So I have 9 things. I'm going to put them into groups of 3. So 3, 3, and 3. And I figured out that when I take 9 and put them into groups of 3, I'm left with 3 groups, 1, 2, 3. So that's how you can use manipulatives, anything you have around in the house or in the classroom, to figure out division problems. And then let me show you how we can do that with pencil and paper, because there are plenty of ways to do that as well. So we're going to flip my screen now to my whiteboard. And here we go. So you could have a problem that looks like this, a word problem. I'll do it in the text box. Jack has 20 wheels for toy cars. Each car needs 4 wheels. The question now is, how many cars can Jack build? Okay, that's our problem, a common word problem that you might see with this sort of work. And again, I've showed you the total, 20, and I've showed you how many are in each group, 4. And then we have to figure out how many cars he can build. So if you had manipulatives like I showed you earlier, you could spread those out and you could figure that out. But you also can do it by using what we call a count by strategy. And when you do that, you take, whoops, wrong thing there. I want to draw. Okay, you can take your 20 and divide them into groups of 4, just like this. So I'm going to put a circle with a 4, and that's my first car. Now I'm going to put a circle with my 4, and that's my second car. And as I go along, I'm going to keep a total at the top of how many I've used altogether. So this first car used 4, and this second car used 4. So after I built my first one, I've only used 4 altogether. I'm then going to put a little plus in here. I'm going to add 4 more to it, and now I'm up to 8. I build a third car with 4 wheels, and now I've used, oh, that looks like a 9. Still looks like a 9, but I'm telling you it's a 4. Now we're up to 12. We can build a fourth car because we're going to go all the way up until we get to 20. I've used 4 wheels on this, and 12 plus 4 more is 16. And since I still have wheels left, I'll build another car with 4 wheels, and now I've used 20 total wheels. So I can see that I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars. So 20 wheels with 4 wheels on each car divided into groups of 4 equals 5 groups. So again, this is number of groups. And this is the size of the group. And we can do that same, so that count by strategy is great. It works really well. It can be very effective, but we also can use number bonds, which you're familiar with. We've talked recently about how to use them with multiplication. You can also use them with division. So let's show you a different way to do that. I'll show you that same problem I just did a minute ago. 20 divided into groups of 4. And we'll pretend like we're not sure the answer yet, but we'll find it out here momentarily. I start with 20 in the middle, my total. I'm going to put them into groups of 4. So what that means is I'm going to keep drawing arms off my total here with 4s on the end. And I'm going to count as I go by 4s until I get to 20. So 4 plus 4 is 8, plus 4 more is 12, plus 4 more is 16, and then 4 more is 20. So I can then go and see how many arms did I draw, or how many branches came off of my 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have a total of 20 objects being separated out into groups of 4. And by doing that, I create 5 groups. Let's look at one last problem, and we'll solve it both ways, just like we did here. And that is saying that there are, just like the last lesson, I'm going to talk about food here. So there are, well, my kids would appreciate this one. There are, let's see, 24 Skittles. Are divided into groups of, forgot what I was doing there, into groups of 6. How many groups are there? So the first thing you could do is you could use that count by strategy, and you could say, oh, I had 6 plus 6 is 12, plus 6 more is 18, plus 6 more is 24. So now I've seen that 24 divided into groups of 6 equals 4 groups. I also could use a number bond where I had 24 in the center. I'm going to make groups of 6, and I'm going to count by skip count or group count here: 6, 12, 18, and finally 24. And I notice that I have 4 branches coming off of my total there. So 24 divided into groups of 6 equals 4. And again, the 4 being the number of groups, the 6 being the size of those groups, and the 24 being the total altogether. So this is very similar to the lesson that we did in Module 1, Lesson 4. The exception is, or the difference is that we are flipping what we know and what we don't know. So as you read word problems especially, be paying attention, paying really close attention to the language and what it's telling you. Is it telling you that you know the size of the group, or that you don't know the size of the group? Or do you know how many are in each group or not? Do you know the number of groups or not? So that really takes some skill in reading and paying close attention to make sure that you know exactly what you're solving for, and you're aware of what information you already know going into the problem. Again, like always, if you have any questions, please let me know, and I'm happy to solve that problem with you.